I feel like I came to Australia to give my children a better future. So
Yeah.
it's been a big sacrifice for us. I don't regret moving once. And if you had to ask me the question, or if anyone had to ask me the question, should we come, I'd say pack your bags and don't look back. Even if you just come with your bags, just pack your bags and come. I don't regret it. I would move heaven and earth to be here.
To be here again.
I'm Dr. Chamonix Blanche, ex-corporate and academical, turned CEO and board member of several companies, and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created Chamonix TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids here in Down Under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from the glamorous Gold Coast. How have you been?
I have been very well, thank you. A little bit under the weather, but I am well in my soul. Yes, I am good.
Well, that is very important to hear that you're wearing well in your soul. And if I can
Yes.
speak right, that would be really handy. How long have you been in the Gold Coast for, Melanie?
So we've been here 3 years, and previously we were in Perth, but yeah, 3 years on the Goldie.
And what made you move all the way across the big island?
Probably because it's very similar to Durban, where I'm from. And yeah, the climate's very similar, the culture. And my dad is also here. I'm an only child, so he immigrated about 7 years ago. So yeah, it's just been great being close to him. So that was a huge motivator. And my husband and son are both avid surfers, and the water was a bit too cold in Perth. I'm surprised we survived there so long, but yeah, we eventually made it here. And yes, it's very good to be here. It's been I have to tell you, transitioning from Perth to here was worse than immigrating. Yeah.
That is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, give us a little bit about your immigration story, if you don't mind, in terms of when you came and, why or how you came. And then
Yeah.
I'd like to explore the comment more about the harder part of moving across the big island instead than moving across the ocean.
Yes, yes. Well, so I had 2 young kiddies at the time. We were living in Durban, and it had been quite a long process just to get our papers. And anyway, we got our papers all approved, and then my son was born with major complications, and our migration agent said there's no ways that we'd be accepted into the country. But we decided to go ahead with it. And anyway, cut a long story short, they accepted his papers, or whatever you want to call it. And so as soon as that came through, we packed up and we headed for Perth. Yeah. And we came with no jobs. We came with no support system. We didn't know anyone in Perth, bar a pastor and his wife. So we went to go and support their church. And that was it. We literally came with the bags on our backs. Yeah.
Wow, you are so brave to do that, especially with the
Yeah,
2 little kids. How old
I
were they at
know.
that point?
So my son was 2 and my daughter was close on 4. So little. Yeah.
Very little. And what
Yeah.
visa category did you guys come on, Melanie?
So we came on a PR, we came on my skills, and yeah, so we were fortunate with that. We didn't have to come on a skilled visa, and we came with PR, which was a huge benefit for us, and we don't take that for granted. Yeah.
What is your skill?
So I was in marketing and advertising. I worked for a lovely advertising agency in Durban, and it was very hard to leave, actually. Yeah, it was very hard to leave. Oh gosh, and I've heard one of your ladies say when you interviewed them, she spoke about the 1,000 days of pain, and yeah, it is. It's 1,000 days of pain. Yeah, it really
Yes,
was.
it is definitely hard.
Were tough. They were tough years. Yeah.
And your husband, what's his area of occupation?
So he's come from a manufacturing background. So he struggled to find a job initially, and when he did get one, he only lasted about 3 months because they didn't like the South African
confidence.
Well, no, they didn't like it. No, and yeah, they made it very clear that he was acting out of his. He just took too much initiative, and he was working out of his scope, and they really like to box you and keep you within that sort of little box, and he just wasn't used to that. So yeah, he actually lost his job 2 days before Christmas, and so that was our first 6 months of being there. So that was also really tough, and I wasn't working, so I wasn't used to that. So yeah, it was a tough season.
And you said you were in Perth for about, I have to do the math now,
12,
13 years?
Yeah, it was about 12, 13 years. Actually, it was 12 years. Yeah. Yeah, it was 12
So
years.
at what point did you enter the workforce again, or did you decide to be a stay-at-home mum?
Yep, I decided to be a stay-at-home mum because we had no support system. So, and I was just adamant I wasn't going to put my kids into daycare. I remember visiting a few of them and just remember sobbing my heart out because they were just so unfamiliar and so clinical. And when I was working back in South Africa, I had my beautiful nono. So I know it wasn't for me. It was a non-negotiable. So I stayed at home, and it was tough because I loved working. I loved my career, and I had my identity in my career, I suppose you can say that. And I sort of felt like I was going through a major identity crisis. It was really hard. Yeah.
And are you still stay-at-home mum, or have you decided to enter the workforce again?
No, I actually, so I was the 12 years that I was in Perth, I didn't work, and I actually homeschooled my kids for 8 years, which was it was a mind-blowing step.
The first 8 years, I assume?
No, it was probably sort of the middle 8 years. So my kids went to school for the first couple of years, and then I had another baby. I had a little Aussie baby. She was planned, and we decided to have another baby. So we arrived in the October, and by the February I was pregnant, and by the next October I had another baby. So there were three kiddies now, and yeah, so they went to school for the first, my school age kids went to school, and then decided to homeschool. So I took them out. It was just the older two. And then I homeschooled for 8 years. Yeah.
So you were working really hard, actually, because there is no off switch for being a stay-at-home mum or a homeschooling and stay-at-home mum. So wow, well done.
No. And then what I did was we had bought a home that had a little granny flat. So I converted my granny flat into a little guest house, and I put it on Airbnb, and that's how I made a bit of income through that. So we had that for about 8 years too. And then I did a bit of photography on the side, and so I sort of managed to make an income, just added money coming in. And it's funny because I would never have done that in South Africa. I would never, ever, ever have done that in South Africa.
It's very interesting because you're not the first person who says that. And I think it's absolutely fabulous that you do that, or that you did that, because it gives you that opportunity to explore more about who you are or what you would like to do, and the flexibility of whether I want to have my Airbnb open this week or not, or shut. We actually also have an Airbnb, so I know exactly, and it's attached to our house. So
yes,
I know what you're going through, and you can decide when you want to operate it or when not.
Absolutely. And that's what I did. So it worked really, really well.
So Melani, then the move to the Gold Coast, was that because of surfing? And I won't blame you if that's the reason.
It was, it was to a degree, because my husband had always just been so passionate. That was his art, that had been his lifestyle his whole life, and he had really put that thing to bed for many years. And I think he just got to a point where he just didn't want to do it anymore. And we felt like we really needed a sea change, and we had tried a few years earlier and it just didn't happen. So he started looking for jobs, and he managed to get one. So he came to the Gold Coast a year before us. And so he was here for a year, and then we followed him because my daughter had to finish year 12. So she went back to school to finish school. And then when she finished year 12, we came over. Yeah.
And you've been happy there ever since. So tell me about the difficult transition that you mentioned a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it has been difficult because, your kids are older. So normally when you're new into a place and you're a young mum, you get to meet all the mums, you get to meet all the families. And so coming to the Gold Coast, my kids were older, and I never got to see any of the kids. Never got to meet any of the parents. And by that stage, I had decided to do a teacher aid course. So I went straight into the workforce, into full-time work. So I just wasn't meeting anyone, didn't meet anyone, worked 5 days a week. My kids were back at school. So it was a very, very lonely couple of years. And I think only now are we slowly feeling a little bit more settled. But it's been tough because Conrad's been in and out of work. COVID hasn't been good to us. So it's been really hard the last 3 years. Yeah.
And your 3 children, are they still with you in the Gold Coast, or have they spread their wings?
No. So my eldest daughter is 21, and she's finished her first degree, and she's now studying another degree, and she's at home. All my kids are at home. And then my 18-year-old son, he's just finished his year 12, and he is studying at uni. And then my last one is at school. Yeah, she's in year 9. So yeah.
And you haven't decided to homeschool again?
No, I don't regret those years, but they were tough. Yeah. But no, I don't regret them. We had an amazing time, met amazing people, and we had some amazing memories. We've made beautiful memories. We used to travel out of the, in a school term, we used to travel a lot, and it worked really well for us as a family. It was lovely.
Yeah, that's the best. You don't have to worry about school holidays. You just go whenever it suits you.
Yes, it was amazing. I loved it.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now in the Gold Coast, and your husband and your 3 children there, do you, after you've had this difficult second transition, do you feel like you're an Australian, or do you feel like you're a South African?
Oh, I have felt like I'm an Australian for a long time. Yeah. I feel I'm South African because I still feel it's quite hard to get involved in Australian life. We tried really hard, like joining life-saving clubs, and it's not easy. It's really not easy. So yes, I do feel like an Australian, but maybe I don't feel South African. I think you land up feeling like a little bit of an alien sometimes, and I've sort of settled that thing. I feel like I came to Australia to give my children a better future. So it's been a big sacrifice for us.
And same, I came when I was 26, but I think you will always, there's a mozzie here. I think you will always be feeling tussen die boom en die bas, between the tree and the bark. I don't know what's the English expression for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're always going to feel like you're not really South African anymore and not Australian entirely. You're always going to
No.
be hovering in this gray space in between. But
Yes.
your children
Absolutely.
and my children will feel different. They'll feel
Yes.
at home, and it's, where they basically had all their life and were brought up. They won't forget what your roots are or my roots.
No.
They'll have that in their upbringing, but
Yeah.
still,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
and that's part of moving. It's part of the decision that you make. I
It
always
is.
say it's, the choice was that, or I could have been murdered back in South Africa, because
Absolutely.
I was so scared of being murdered every day. That's why I
Yes,
left.
me
So
too. Me too. Yeah, I was fearful for my children. I don't regret moving once. And if you had to ask me the question, or if anyone had to ask me the question, should we come? I'd say pack your bags and don't look back. Even if you just come with your bags, just pack your bags and come. I don't regret it. I would move heaven and earth to be here.
here again. So what is the best thing for you about being here?
The freedom. I feel free. I feel safe. I don't take my life here for granted one day. I am so grateful that I live in this place, that my children are safe, that my doors are open, my kids can drive safely. I never worry about them. And I think it's afforded us many opportunities that we possibly would not have taken in South Africa. I think because we're so bound by our culture, and I would have been too scared to have taken risks. I knew, so many people in the town that you've grown up in. What will they think of you? Whereas when you come here, you don't know anyone, you've got nothing to lose. So you just do whatever it takes to make it happen. So, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for those risks that I've taken. Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful story. And you've grown as a person, and you're now, you're like a diamond that's been polished.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
so nice. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been
Welcome.
really lovely hearing, and I'm so sorry that you're unwell, but you were still shining, even though you're not feeling you're not feeling your best. I hope that you get better much quickly, and that the coronavirus that's sort of looming over Brisbane and Perth at this point in time can just go away.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So stay safe, and hopefully we can catch up again with you, and maybe with one of your children sometime,
yes,
to hear
absolutely.
if they think they're Aussie or if they think they're South African.
Oh, well, my two eldest would say they are South African. My daughter would definitely say she's South African. She's still got quite a strong South African accent, and she's actually dating a South African. So Van der Weste is in nogal.
Oh, yes, very South African. Is he Afrikaans?
His dad is, but no, he's not. No.
Oh, it makes it a bit easier. You don't have to have the language barrier.
No, absolutely. But my youngest would say she's Australian. Yeah,
Australian.
And she was born here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, thanks, Melanie. I really hope you feel better soon. And thank you so much for sharing your inspirational words. You know how you felt like when you came over the only time you came over to Australia. It was daunting, and you don't know what's lying ahead in this unexpected kind of land of the hopefully milk and honey, but you don't know when you're leaving.
No, you
and so people like you who share your story just make it that much easier for everybody to just chip away at, that big mountain of scariness, and make it a bit more familiar. So thanks once again.
You're welcome, Chamonix.
Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon again.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks,
Bye.
Melanie. Bye.
All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.